say to you?
Not today.
Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with the juice to get you through the long night.
I see darkness in you. This war has just begun. It will last for years. Thousands will die at your command. You will betray the man serving you. You will betray your family. You will betray everything you once held dear. And it will all be worth it. Because you are the son of fire. You are the warrior of light. You will sweep aside this pretender and that one. You will be king.
Promise these things, but you don't know.
All right, live from DireWolfCity. You ladies are hot on the mic. Haha, wish I would have rephrased that, but yeah, you're good to go. Take it away.
Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with the juice. Hey to everybody in the chat. So, today we're going to be talking about Melisandre. Last Friday, we were joined by Crowfood's daughter to talk about Rickon Stark and unicorns, and that was on Unicorn Day. And how funny is it that we're talking about Melisandre on like International Horny Day?
Is it?
Yeah. I saw that on Twitter. I mean, there's like every day is a day. Every day is a day. But she's, you know, Melisandre's hot. So today we have our girl back. Alicia, would you like to let the people know who you are and where they can find you?
Yes, I'm back. Yes. Okay, sorry. Alicia, that's been a long day. I'm sorry, people. My name's Alicia. You can find me on Twitter at TotsNotAlice. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm not on there as frequently, but it is at Hangry Like the Wolf. Wolf is spelled with an E at the end.
Awesome. Ara?
Hey everyone, you can find me at IEZebra
on all platforms because I like to make it easy for everyone. I also have a channel coming out soon. So if you search iZebra, you can always, subscribe early and hit the notification bell. Should have something out to you guys really, really soon within the next week or two. So be on the lookout.
Awesome. And Nim?
Hey everyone, I am Nim. I run the Gray Area Discord server. I do all of the scheduling for the Obsidian Nights broadcast, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nim's Shadow.
Awesome. Yeah, so on the last video that I posted, I said I was going to put on the last episode of Obsidian Nights, I said I was going to put the Discord link in the description, and then I forgot to, and people were like, where's the Discord link? So the Discord link should be in the chat sometime tonight, and I will also put it down in the description box when it's done. I will remember this time. Starting out, we have a super chat from Count Balerian of House Tatters. He's a member of the Discord, and he's asking, is Melisandre hundreds of years old in the books?
Yes. Just because she says that she's been studying for years beyond count, and I feel like you can at least count to 100 for most people. So that to me indicates she just didn't care after a while.
Yes.
I'd say, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just said she's old as hell.
You can go ahead.
I'd say she's over 100, like easily, well over 100. Enough to have to glamour herself quite a bit, enough to learn her art as much as she has. Over 100 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing, like she says she's studied the practice for years beyond count, like Ara said, and not even that, like she's supposed to be like the greatest person in her order. So I definitely think she's over 100 years old. Well, in her mind she is. We'll talk about that because there seems to be some people that can interpret things a little bit better than her. But I don't know. Yeah, she's old as shit. Like I think she's from Hardhome. We're gonna talk about that. But let's talk about Melisandre in the books. So right now, book Melisandre is at the wall, and in A Dance with Dragons we get a Melisandre POV. It's probably one of my favorite POVs in the Dance of Dragons. Now George has said Melisandre is one of the most misunderstood characters in the universe. What are your thoughts on that?
Melisandre is easily one of my favorite characters. I feel like quite a bit of me relates to her in certain aspects. Everything that she does, I'm not saying that it's right, but that's why he uses the word misunderstood. I think she has very, very good intentions, but you know what they say about the road to hell and good intentions. I think that she is... for instance, every time you see her appear on page, other than her own POV, she just exudes just this otherworldliness. And then the moment you get inside her head, she's actually kind of, I don't want to use the word insecure, but she's not the person in her head that she exhibits herself to be. And she even has a thought about that it's all about like what you make people think rather than the full truth itself. So I agree.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely some things that she not necessarily lies about. I don't see her as a dishonest character, but more as someone who is they try to present a more confident air than they have. I feel like in her POV there's a lot of doubt that kind of is gnawing at her. It more so when she's looking into the fires and she is thinking, oh God, is that Stannis? Like she wants what she wants to be true to actually be true. But I think that somewhere deep down she feels that it's not, or that she's forcing it. And I always thought that she was just kind of like shit at interpreting her flames, and she just wasn't very good at her job. But now I think that she just has an ulterior motive. and she's working her own agenda to a certain end that she wants, but I don't know that it's necessarily malicious. It's just what she feels is right, or some personal thing that she has, and I really hope we get to find out what. I do have a little theory about that we'll get into later when we start talking about Hard Home, because it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I don't get dishonest vibe from her. I just get an air that she's putting on for show more than anything else.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me. I don't think that she is evil. I know somebody asked me on Twitter, they were like, do you think Melisandre is gonna like sacrifice Ghost to bring back John? And I was like, if she sacrifices Ghost, like she will catch these hands on sight. Like, fuck John. If Ghost has to die for John to come back, John can stay dead. Like, Ghost over everybody. But I think that she does. I think good people are capable of doing evil things, because if you think about what she wanted to do to Edric Storm, it was evil. I don't care how we sugarcoat it. It's evil. It's evil.
Which is ironic because she gives Davos that whole speech about a rotten onion. If a part of a rotten onion is rotted, it's a bad onion. So I still love her so much. We can fight about it later. It's okay.
It is. It is. So in the chat, someone said they're interested to hear why I think she's from Hard Home. So I'm just going to go over it real quick. So I have a whole video on it. I did it about like 2 or 3 years ago. But the reason I think that she's from Hard Home is because she has this vision when she's at the wall. And the vision she has is of Hard Home. And then she says she hears like her adoption story, where it's like she hears Melanie, Lot 7. She's like, why am I remembering this now? Like, why this vision? Why now? And she's really powerful at the wall. So I think that she was a slave that was taken from Hard Home way, way, way back in the day, sold to the Red Temple. And then, like, she doesn't even have, like, the tattoos like that Makoro has. Like, she doesn't have that. Maybe that's a glamour. Maybe if the glamour was gone, she would have the tattoos. But also, she has red eyes and bone white skin. And the other characters that we know that have red eyes and bone white skin are Ghost of Highheart, who I think is connected to the Children of the Forest, Ghost, Bloodraven, and that's it. And Melisandre. So Melisandre has some connection with Bloodraven, Ghost of Highheart, and the Direwolf Ghost. And the Weirwoods. Like, she's basically the Weirwood coloring. So I kind of think it might be a clue that she is from the North. She's of the North, and her visions, if she is the best at seeing things, maybe not interpreting, but seeing them, then maybe it's because she's a green seer.
I can definitely see that. I say she's always getting visions, just like everybody else, even though I really agree she doesn't interpret them correctly. But we as a reader, we know what she's seeing is the right thing to be seeing. Like when she sees, I think it's Bran, she sees him as a wolf boy along with Bloodraven, I think as like a tree or a crow.
Mm-hmm.
Not a crow. I think, how does she see Bloodraven?
1,000 eyes in one.
Thank you.
1,000 eyes. A tree with a face.
So thank you. A tree with a face with 1,000 eyes and a boy that turns into a wolf, or like a half wolf, half boy. So it's like she's seeing the people that are playing these big parts, or like when she says, show me a vision of Azor Ahai, she sees Snow with a capital S, which we know is Jon. So I think she is so deep in with Stannis that even though she knows that he's not the right path, she doesn't feel maybe safe enough to change her mind just because she's just so knee deep. Like, look at everything that's happened since she's joined Stannis' side.
Right.
If she were to back out now, it just wouldn't go well.
Think about anyone who's very zealous in their beliefs, especially with the things that she's done. Now, I agree with Gray. Sacrificing a little boy, even if for the greater good, that's evil. She knows it. Well, she's not going to see it as evil, but she knows it's awful. Like, a lot of the thoughts we have are subconscious thoughts. Like, when we have feelings, it's carried up, like it's brought about by these subconscious thoughts. Like, they go hand in hand. But I think she knows she's done too much. She's shed too much blood for Stannis's cause, and that sheds doubt on her for a moral reason. It sheds doubt on her zealousness. I mean, up until I was like 25 or so, I was really big in the church. Like, I went to a Christian college. I went through a very zealous phase, and I got to a point where, like, everything I believe now is completely different, but it was just earth-shattering to get to that moment where you realize that everything that you just really went to bat for so many years, that you feel like saved you, brought you out of the dirt and the mud, might just be a lie, or the things that you thought, so I mean, it's a hard thing to do. And in that aspect, I feel sorry for Melisandre, and I can also see why she is so loath to change her mind, why she is so staunch for Stannis, in the sense that she doesn't know how to interpret her visions just yet, because they seem very metaphorical more than anything. So it's so hard to, like, most people that know me know, like, I have dreams that come to pass. If I remember a dream, it's going to happen in some way, shape, or form. It's rarely ever literal. If someone said I have to act out based on my dreams, like I have to choose the next path based on what I see in my dreams, I'd fuck up more than Melisandre. But I don't push my authority off on other people like Melisandre does, and I don't burn people. So I suppose there's a difference there. But yeah, I'm rambling and I forgot the question.
It's fine. Sorry. It's fine. We have a super chat from John Lang. Thank you, John Lang, for the $5 super chat. Mel has Stannis where the tick had the bull. Do y'all think she's pushing him to spread religion or for some personal gain? I definitely think, like, she wants R'hllor to be their religion, the dominant religion of Westeros. I feel like she believes in R'hllor. She loves R'hllor. She worships the Lord of Light. I don't think it's for personal gain, though. I think, like, she really thinks this is the way. She really believes that this is the way.
Yeah, look, that was Thoris's main mission, was to convert Robert. And obviously that failed. They just started getting drunk together. And now he's spreading that faith throughout the Riverlands. And then figure you have Melisandre and Stannis' camp doing the same thing. So it's starting to take a foothold in Westeros. It's small right now, but it looks like it's continuing to grow throughout the story. And I think especially with this whole great Battle of the Dawn type situation happening, where it's that, I think Melisandre will really pick up a bigger following, because they'll see the threat of the White Walkers, and obviously, as they refer to as the Great Other.
Could I jump in for a second?
Yeah, I don't feel like it's malicious. I just feel like she is fulfilling her duty as a priestess of R'hllor. Most religions have, a main goal of sharing that religion with other people and getting people to join it, because they believe it to be true, and so of course they want others to be, saved along with them. So I don't think there's anything malicious about it. I think that it's just part of her role as a priestess.
Could I, sorry, I had myself muted for you guys and not for the actual stream, but I just wanted to jump in with one thought that, especially if you go by if what happened in the show in some sense happens, meaning after the White Walkers are defeated, assuming they are, and she, goes off into the sweet night like she did in the show, that's kind of a good insight into that it's pretty selfless, you know what I mean? She's not being because like she really is, she has a goal. She's not doing it for like to gain any sort of at least like worldly power. Her end game is to try to defeat them, and that seems to be the way it is. And also, I mean, George consistently writes about how the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that goes for all the characters. So I think point on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, we have another super chat from Wisdom Minari. Thank you, Wisdom Minari, for the $5 super chat. Isn't she glamoring Stannis' sword? His Lightbringer gives off no heat. Yeah. So I actually do think she's glamoring the sword. Oh my God, a fly. I actually do think she's glamoring the sword because who is it that sees the sword and says the sword is wrong?
Aemon.
Yeah, Aemon.
So he doesn't even see it. He just feels that there's no heat because he's blind.
Right. The sword. Yeah.
Wait a minute, Dick Gray.
Sorry. I apologize. But not only that, like, I think she did that to convince Stannis. Like, I think a lot of the stuff that she does is to convince Stannis because she's got Selyse. Like, Selyse is eating out of the palm of her hand. So she has Selyse, but she didn't have Stannis. She still doesn't really have Stannis 100%.
I mean, she's got him in that gorilla grip, but I wouldn't say, like, she's got him actually converted to R'hllor'ism.
Yeah.
So,
she's got him in other ways.
But yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, I do think that sword has, like, it's obviously magic in some way. I don't know if I necessarily think it's glamour as much. It could be, but I mean, there could be something at the hilt of that sword, because think about what she does with Rattleshirt and Mance Rayder. Like it, I'm rambling again, but she had mentioned in her point of view chapter, she oft uses like a bunch of different powders and potions for illusions, as Job from Arrested Development would say. But I mean, she also, as much as she stressed about running out of the stuff to make the powders, she also said, hey, I'm at the wall. I'm at a great hinge of the world, or whatever she calls it. I don't need it here, which is what she basically said. So there might be something to that sword, because it still seems to glow when she's not around, because Stannis is pretty far away from her. And I don't think even she's that powerful to extend the glamour to like hundreds of leagues out.
Well, she also says, I think, men believe what they want to believe. Like they believe what they want to believe. So it doesn't necessarily even have to be a thing. They just believe it because they want it to be. But with, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked because I was looking at the chat because we got another super chat. Super chat from Amanda, the Disputed Lands. Thank you, Amanda. So I had so much fun with you last week. And we wrote, Ara wrote your questions down, those 2 questions that you asked us after. We'll get to those. She says, hey guys, okay, how will she do it? Will Mel give Jon the kiss of life, or will she give him a bed bath like in the show? A bed bath. I think it's the kiss of life, because we saw Barrick get brought back with the kiss of life. We saw Lady Stoneheart get brought back with the kiss of life. And George has said both of them are foreshadowing for Jon. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's 100% what's going to happen. Maybe just the way that they are is, the foreshadowing for Jon. But I think the means, like, I think that's the only way we've seen like resurgence in the show is through the kiss of death. I mean, in the books.
Agree. Well, and there's a reason that there is a Red Priest so close to a main character who needs to be brought back. You know what I mean? He's he's put all of these characters in certain places for certain reasons, and I don't think that she is there by mistake. I don't think she's there by accident. She chose to stay at the wall when Stannis went south, when she has been with Stannis everywhere except the Battle of the Blackwater. And after the Battle of the Blackwater, everyone said what a huge mistake that was because they fucking lost. So Stannis wanted her to be close to him at all times after that, and she decided not to.
I don't think that people should.
I kind of feel like she was. I'm sorry, Justin.
Go ahead.
I kind of feel like she was kind of full of it when she said that Stannis needed her at the Battle of Blackwater.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't mean to constantly be the person that like poo-poos on all fantasy in this, and is like my cop out is always like it ain't that deep. But I do think she definitely I think she gets overconfident of her ability sometimes. Like I think sometimes it's she knows what she's about, and other times she's like, yes, bring. I don't know what her deal is, but I mean, my thought about the whole Ghost and Kiss of Life thing. Does that mean Ghost? I don't think Ghost necessarily needs to die for Jon to come back, because I mean, it's not like Cat had a direwolf. It's not like Barrick had a direwolf. I mean, he's falling apart at the seams. Like, goddamn, what's that movie with Goldie Hawn and
oh my god,
You're Dead to not You're Dead to Me.
The one where she's got a fucking hole in her stomach and she's like looks through her hole. I shouldn't have said that. What is that movie called?
It's like Goldie Hawn and Meryl Streep.
I'll IMDb it after. Yeah, I'll
Chat,
do it.
what is it? Chat, what is it?
Death becomes her.
Yeah.
Death becomes her.
Thank you.
All I was trying to say is that don't underestimate like her yearning to want to figure out who Azor Ahai or whatever one of her prophecies, you know, can be fulfilled through, because she's a believer and she also has to justify the shit that she's done, which we can all agree is pretty foul, right? So like she is searching probably harder than anybody, right? She doesn't know. It's not like she knows that there's this person for sure. Obviously, we see her making mistakes, so that's why she's definitely camping out by Jon. She is the one that's looking for it the most, you know? The person that's shilling it is going to be the person that's the most worried about it being wrong, especially when you're burning people all the time.
So, Amanda said something else. Strength of the mount go into the rider, something like that, if Jon is inside Ghost. She said she learned the spell in a shy. So yeah, that is the only other resurgence we've seen was what Mirri Maz Duur did to Drogo. I will fucking riot if they kill Ghost. Like,
I don't think she's gonna kill Ghost, but the only thing is like, honestly, I think he can definitely come back. And I saw that Amanda said in the chat, I mean, she might recognize he's a warg. I think she 100% will. She knows the deal with Ghost. I mean, she knows enough to, I don't know if she put a spell on Ghost, but she definitely did something to put him at ease. Like she said something in a foreign tongue and Ghost was like, yeah, this is cool. And like kind of padded right up to her. But maybe I'm in denial, but I feel like if other people can come back, Barrick can come back like 7 times today, as the chat is blowing up and say death becomes her type body. Jon should be able to come back into his body without killing Ghost. However, I don't know. Ghost even made it in the show, and those fuckers are always trying to cut their CGI budget. So who knows?
my boy was missing his fucking ear and shit.
I want to know why he wrote off with the Dothraki. We're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this.
My baby's ear was gone.
I was gonna say I don't think that she's gonna sacrifice Ghost just because there's another warg at the wall, and I think it's for more experienced wargs or skin changers, if you will, because I know someone's gonna correct me because it's a boar, not a wolf, so it's not a warg. Skin changers.
So precise.
So precise. So it's common knowledge that they live a second life in their animal companion, if you will. So I think with somebody already being there, if Mel were to like try to kill him, I think he'd be like, you know, like Jon's soul's in there right now. Maybe you shouldn't do that. or something along those lines. Probably not in those words, but you guys get
So
what I'm
this
saying.
is really tinfoil, and I know it's probably going to piss somebody off that watches it, but do you think there's a possibility that Bran can push Jon out of Ghost back into his body?
Yeah, I don't think it's tinfoil at all.
Because
I feel like it's a real possibility.
I think when you're talking about Mel, a lot of it's going to have to be tinfoil, at least virgin on
But
it.
Yeah, because
that's true.
we don't
Well,
really
actually,
know.
Mel does that to Oral. She pushes his soul essentially out of the
She
eagle.
burns
She
him.
murders him.
She burned it.
She
That's
murdered
what I'm
his soul.
saying. So if she can do that, I'm pretty sure Bran might have some way less harmful
Well,
to
basically
get
what
Jon
happened
out.
is Jon killed Orell, and then Orell began his second life in the Eagle, and then Varamir,
Took it
nasty
over.
ass fucker, took it over because he could. So he had Orell pushed to the side, and then this is so messy. It's like a soap opera with wargs. And so when Melisandre came along, she just burned the evil alive, or burned the eagle alive. And because Varamir was still living, he was just warging into the eagle. That's when he kind of lost his mind for a bit, and he lost control of like at least 3 of his animals. The wolves were the only ones that came back, from what I understand. But the whole thing's just weird and messy. But
It is. It's very messy and very confusing and convoluted. But there's a reason that we had
someone said Varamir the squatter.
But there
He
was
is
a
a
reason that
squatter.
we had to go through all of that, because it's going to, I think, play into what's coming next. And I don't necessarily think that Ghost has to die for that to happen like the eagle did, but I think that the same concept of being pushed out of a consciousness by someone else invading that consciousness could come into play later on.
Mhm.
And I think it's a very real possibility that Bran could be the one to jump into Ghost's brain and push Jon out as Mel is trying to bring him back. Because like Alicia said, the other fire whites, for lack of a better term, didn't have a vessel to house their second life. They didn't have, a direwolf or something to warg into after they had died. So they're just floating around, I would assume. I don't know if there's, we know there's hells in Westeros lore, but we don't know if there's, a heaven.
Well,
or
ghosts are good at floating around too. So, like, if anything, if we're gonna play the name game, it's pretty advantageous in this. I don't see any reason why ghosts would have to die in this situation.
What
I don't
if?
either.
Same.
What if it's Rickon?
Oh,
Like we talked about last week on the Rickon episode about Rickon. Well, about us thinking that he's gonna be like a powerful warg because
right.
he's so young and so like already so powerful, and his wolf is the only other wolf with like green seer traits, like green seer eyes, green eyes, where the other ones have yellow, and then Ghost and Shaggy have red and green. So what if Davos brought Rickon to Jon at the wall, and then Jon's dead, and Rickon is the one that pushes Jon out of.
I don't know if there'll be time. Like I'd imagine
It would take
Jon's
a long time.
body is going to be vacant, for lack of better terms, at the wall for some time, because there's just so much mention of those ice cells
Yeah.
and being dead bodies preserved like that. You don't just keep mentioning that over and over without it paying off in some way.
Yeah.
But I think that Davos has to do, like, unless he makes it to Skagos within 1 chapter, which might be possible, but he's still got to kind of go to Skagos, get a hold of Rickon, take Rickon back. I don't know. It just feels like
Easy
with only
peasy.
2 books. Yeah, I mean, like with 2 books left, especially like we're predicting so much is going to happen in Winds of Winter. I'm the only wrench in that gear for me is timeline wise, where would it fit with everything else going on?
Right. Yeah.
And how long would that take? Like, how long are they going to keep Jon's body on ice?
Yeah, that's another.
He would
That's
be.
another part of the equation. We have a super chat. Let's answer this real quick. Did she really do? Oh, this is from Wisdom Minari. Wisdom Minari, thank you for the $5 super chat. Did she really do that, or did the wall do it? Remember, John can't sense ghosts on the other side of the wall. So he's asking, did Melisandre really do that to Oral's eagle, or was it the magic in the wall that did it?
Oh, and she just kind of took credit.
I think it was her, essentially, just because doesn't he recall it, like Veramir in the his prologue chapter? I feel like, doesn't he recall that moment of her burning him?
I
Through
believe
the eagle, like he feels her. Yeah, and it's like, and I believe he credits her. Somebody, I know somebody will, I believe somebody will correct me, but I believe he credits like she burned me or something like that. Like he knows it was her. So I think it definitely was her.
But I will say it's something that we haven't seen her do before. So she might have only been able to do it because she was at the wall. And
indefinitely.
More powerful there.
She's straight up said now that she's at the wall, she doesn't even need her powders anymore.
Powders and potions, yeah.
Yeah, the wall is like supercharging her.
Yeah.
Like crystals.
Yeah. Oh, moon water.
The savings on cosmetics alone are worth the stay.
We also have another super chat from Josh Gripe, $10 super chat. Just wanted to shout out the Discord server. Big ups to the book club, sending peace, love, and positive vibes everyone's way. Yes, guys, if you did not know, you can join my Discord server. There's a book club. They Mandy, what is the book club dates? I always get them mixed up. I think it's Monday.
Yeah, and Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes, we have book clubs on Monday and Thursday, and we have monthly trivia nights, and we have a tourney every season where we have games that last a whole week, and there's prizes, and it's a lot of fun. Adri, I know you are in chat now, and I think Bright is there too. Could you guys pop up the Discord link for us, please, and thank you? They're my lovely admins.
Nice. So,
So can we go back to Hardhome for a minute? I feel like
sure.
we hit that topic and then we didn't like flesh it out fully because I have my little notebook here. I have some notes we need to go over. So I started digging into Hardhome, and the very first record we have of Hardhome was a maester that went to live among the free folk in Hardhome and kind of studied them, for lack of a better word. And he was there with a chieftain, one of the 4 chieftains that ruled over Hardhome, the village, and his name is Gorm the Wolf. So this Maester Wylus, ends up killing Gorm the Wolf somehow, and he becomes terrified for his life, and he runs back to Old Town. He writes a book. His book is called Hardhome, an account of 3 years spent beyond the wall among savages, raiders, and woods witches. So we have woods witches beyond the wall in Hardhome. This Maester went to Hardhome before Hardhome was destroyed, 600 years prior to where our storyline is now. Hardhome was destroyed 600 years ago. The Doom of Valyria, 400 years ago. So we're talking 200 years before the Doom. So what destroyed Hardhome? The only thing that we have that tells us what could possibly have destroyed Hardhome sounds a hell of a lot like dragons. It says that the homes of the inhabitants of Hardhome were said to have burned with flames so high and hot that the watchers on the wall far to the south thought that the sun was rising in the north. Afterwards, ashes rained down on the haunted forest and the shivering sea alike for almost half a year. Later on, when traders and members of the Night's Watch go to check out what happened, it's still a mess. There's like burned trees, there's burned skulls and bones everywhere. And they say that they hear shrieks coming from the caves where the people were hiding when the village was burned. So I think here's where the tinfoil comes in. All right. I think one of two things happened. Either Melisandre was Melanie, and she lived in Hardhome. When that happened, she was taken by slavers and sold by Valyrian slavers because they had dragons. That would explain why she doesn't have the Volantine tattoo on her face if she was taken by Valyrians, right? So Valyria and Ashai had trade back then. This was at the height, the pinnacle of Valyrian power and Valyrian rise. So they had commerce with Ashai back then because that's how they learned to control the dragons, was from the Shadowbinders in Ashai. So they were probably selling them slaves. Melisandre could have been sold to the Ashai, Ashai, and raised and trained in Ashai because she was sold by the Valyrians, and she would have a vendetta against the Valyrians for killing, everyone in her village, taking her and turning her into a slave. And that could be why she is not jumping on the Dany bandwagon like the rest of the Red Priests and Priestesses. Everywhere across Essos, the Red Priests and Red Priestesses are singing Dany's praises, convincing everyone that she is Azor Ahai reborn. And she is not. She is glomming onto Westeros and the Westerosi lords.
One thing I'm really curious about, and I want to pick y'all's brains about, why attach yourself to, like, let's say she's anti-Dany. Why attach yourself to Stannis of all people? Like, that's the part that's just, I don't know.
Dragonstone.
Maybe it's the fact that he's on Dragon. Yep.
That would be my only guess. Would be Dragonstone, and the salt and smoke part of the prophecy,
and the stone dragons.
Dragonstone and the stone dragons, waking the stone dragons. The prophecy fits Dragonstone perfectly. And she just was like, well, I guess if this is what I have to work with, let's make it work.
They're all checking boxes after the fact, though. I mean, they're self-fulfilled prophecies. Prophecies become fulfilled, because people believe in them, and then they piecemeal them together after the fact. So there's so many variants at work. Also,
all of our prophecies are self-fulfilled prophecies.
No, I know. Absolutely, they are. That's what I'm saying. Like, they just work with what they got. I mean, they just bend it until it does. I mean, it until it breaks, essentially.
So regarding, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that she doesn't court Dany because she doesn't know about Dany.
Right.
She's been gone. And like, did you ever get any letters from them? Do they ever write her?
I think she's wrote because, like, as far as how I think the timeline went, so she got in with Selyse before she got in with Stannis.
Right.
When we open up, like when the prologue of Clash of Kings opens up, she's already indoctrinated herself into Stannis's court, and it's been that way for a while. Dany had just woken the dragons. So awakened? Yes. Dany had just awakened. Been a long day, y'all. I'm a teacher. Dany had just awakened the dragon. I'm gonna get fired. Okay, so Dany had just awakened the dragons maybe a month prior. So I mean, Melisandre had to have set out on her own before the high priest was just all gung-ho for Dany. But one thing about dragons beyond the wall that intrigues me is, and it could just be things changed up in those couple 100 years, but if you remember in Fire and Blood Volume 1, it talked about how Alysanne had gotten bored while Jaehaerys and Cregan Stark were doing their thing, so she tried to take Silverwing beyond the wall, and Silverwing was like, he thinks not, ma'am, multiple times. So that kind of makes me wonder, if dragons did go to Hardhome, would this be during a time where White Walkers are dormant? Or is there just always this power that's off-putting to dragons? Or does it just kind of not count? Because Hardhome is kind of off in the corner.
I think that they just wouldn't have had to go near enough the wall for it to have made a difference. They were coming by way of Valyria, which is far to the southeast, and so they would have flown over the Narrow Sea and pretty much over
they would have
to
come
get
from
to
the
Hardhome.
Yeah, come like
I think there's something in
Like
the
bump the
north
wall.
that they don't fuck with. Like that's how I interpreted it. Like it wasn't the wall that was off-putting the Silverwing, because Silverwing spent time at the wall. It was just when she tried to go beyond the wall, Silverwing just wasn't having it. So the way I interpreted that was there's something beyond the wall in itself that the dragons aren't fucking with.
Yeah, I think that too. I think that too. I'm like,
But that could also, oh, go ahead.
I'm undecided, kind of. Like, I think it could
Well,
be either way, but I like the idea that you said them not being active and then them being active.
like Pennywise. We talked about this in the White Walker
Yes.
stream. It's that same concept, like every so often. But I mean, I do think somehow, and I'm too lazy to theory craft off times, I just get caught up staring at the walls, Pisces dissociating. I do think that Valyrians and the others are connected in some way.
So
Like,
many parallels.
yes.
A lot of parallels.
And I think
Yeah.
that they've got something going on. We just don't know what it is yet.
I will say that I never thought about dragons at Hardhome. I always thought it was like a Valyria type of catastrophe, like a Doom of Valyria type of thing.
Mm.
But I could totally see the Valyrians taking magical people from Hardhome and putting them down there to fan them flames of those volcanoes.
Mm-hmm.
That
Because,
makes
like,
sense. As their empire expands, they're gonna need more workers.
Yeah.
That was, like I
So,
said, right at the pinnacle of Valyrian power and Valyrian rise. So they would have been scouting and looking for, other hands to do this work with them. Other
the
capable
Radio
hands.
Westeros has this theory, and they've had it since like their third episode they ever did. I don't know. I think it was episode number 3 back in like 2015. They have this kind of theory that I've just been in love with and drinking that Kool-Aid ever since, that Mel could be, hear me out, Mel could be the daughter of Bloodraven and Shiera Seastar. And they cited a couple things, like there are only 2 characters in all of Song of Ice and Fire that are really described as having a heart-shaped face. And if I don't know, Mel could be glamoring herself as a younger version of how old she really is. I don't know for certain, but the red eyes would track. But also, if she naturally has red eyes, that would also track with her being of the north, because it talked about how green seers are born with green and red eyes. So I just really, really like, I don't know. It's just one of the first big theories I was introduced to. I'm really in love with the idea of her actually being the daughter of Shiera Seastar and Bloodraven. However, that would make her only a little bit over 100, and I know y'all are leaning toward her being hundreds of years old.
I love
Okay.
how most of Song of Ice and Fire theories are more family trees than theories. Like most people are crafting family trees and linking people with their parentage and all that more than like anything. But I mean, yeah, I think she's over the age of.
No, they have like a full blown, like they have some quotes and shit. I've
Yeah,
read
I'm
the
not
theory.
doing it justice. Yeah, I'm not doing it justice. I'm just saying.
It's very in depth.
And over the Radio Westeros,
I'm not crapping
it
on
is
that one
episode number
particularly.
3.
I'm just saying, in general, it's always a relationship thing. You know what I mean?
I can say I don't subscribe to it. I don't subscribe to Bloodraven is Mel's daddy.
We can go back to the heart-shaped faces to kind of go a little bit more in depth on that one. In Song of Ice and Fire, there are 3 people described with a heart-shaped face, right? It is Melisandre, of course, Shiera Seastar, and Jane Westerling. So
Green Seer, confirmed.
So I think how the theory would go is that Melisandre is Bloodraven and Shiera Seastar's daughter, right? She is the bloody red star.
That's what they said.
And that Maggie the Frog is Shiera. No one knows where Shiera Seastar went. Maggie the Frog has all of this. Okay, and so then Melisandre would then be Jane Westerling's great aunt.
And Sybil, because you said Shira is Maggie the Frog, right?
Right.
So Sybil, which is Jane Westerling's mama,
Would be her niece.
God, I hate this shit.
that explains why. Well, that explains why Sybil betrayed Rob, because
Right.
she saw in the future that he was never going to be king.
Some witchy shit.
And back to
He's
the
brewing
woods
stuff.
witches. Back to the woods witches that we know are mentioned in Hardhome. If there is a Hardhome connection there, we know that they're there because they were in Witcher's books.
They say that
Funny.
Shira might have fled to Lee's during one of the Blackfire rebellions, right? So that could be the connect there.
I mean, I
There's a
kind
lot
of
of
wonder
theories
what
about
she
ways.
did once Bloodraven was exiled to the wall.
Yeah. But she definitely would
So-
have went east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
so-
she had family out there.
yeah, that
right?
tracks. No, I know. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Serenay, I believe her. Because her mother was, I don't think it's just a rumor. I think her mother was way older than, which is also something that tracks with Melisandre. Like her mother was
black
rumored to
magic.
be, yep, way older than how she appeared. And I'm sorry, I just believe that. I do. Because people, I think it was exaggerated. People had all sorts of rumors about Bloodraven. Like, oh, he uses magic to see everything.
They
And
have
then
rumors right now about Dany. She
Right, well,
bathes in blood.
But it was true. But
Yeah,
it was
that's true.
true about Bloodraven. He was using green seeing, no doubt, and warging in the fucking animals, probably mice or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of thematic connections that George is at least laying down, which he likes to do because it's fun to theorize. You know what I mean? We probably never know, but it's fun.
Oh, cool now.
Mm.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry to let you down. We'll all figure it out. Sorry.
I will
God,
let-
just
That would be crazy. Like that
I
whole
think she's
family
their daughter.
tree, that whole family tree link. Mind
Yeah.
blown.
it's
That would
it was
give
a pretty
Mel
it was a
blood
pretty
of ice
wild
and
one.
fire.
That would give her what?
Blood of ice and fire. Not saying she's Azor Ahai, but I mean that it would just, thicken the plot.
I will say right now, I know there's a lot of people that fit that Azor Ahai mold, but I really think it's Dany.
But that's the same as a prophecy. It's not going to be any. There is no Azor Ahai. It's somebody that will become noted as the last hero or Azor Ahai after the fact. I mean, if you don't believe prophecies are anything but self-fulfilled, then by that reasoning, you can't think that Azor Ahai
I think
is
it's a
person.
mold that somebody has to fit into.
Well, yeah,
to
they'll
be
play the
quite
part
honest.
in it. Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I mean. But it's not like predestined or anything.
That when she's in the House of the Undying, she sees Stannis. She sees a blue-eyed king with a flaming sword that casts no shadow. And she's given the title Slayer of Lies. So whatever she's going to do is going to slay the lie that he is Azor Ahai. What has she done? She literally woke dragons from stone. Her dragon eggs, she calls them the dragons inside the eggs. She calls them stone dragons like 100 fucking times before they hatch. Like she incubates them and hatches them amid salt and smoke with as soon as she steps into the fire, the red star, right before she steps, the red star appears. I just feel like if it's not her, then we've been just taken for a ride just for the fun of it, which is very possible, because a lot of people, when you start twisting that prophecy around, a lot of people fit it, but I feel like nobody fits it like Dany.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just think
I
that if
think
we
John
agree
fits it like
prophecies aren't like a thing that are actually real, that somebody is born to be something, then we can't really say that somebody is for sure that thing. Then it's just, I mean, that's in conflict with itself.
The only thing I don't think John fits is waking dragons from stone. But I think
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, to say finish your point.
No, that's all that was my whole point, that he hasn't woken dragons from stone.
Yeah, Danny fits it more in the literal sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, like, everybody else, it's like you said, you have to like twist words, has to be like more metaphorical. Danny's doing literally the step by step, like play by play of the prophecy. Like, I lean more towards Danny than John, but I think I also am more of the belief that it's kind of a group effort altogether.
Well, and Danny isn't fulfilling it in a self-fulfilling way, because she doesn't have any knowledge.
That's not what self-fulfilling means, though. Self-fulfilling means it's
understand.
fulfilled after the fact of the action, meaning you can attribute the prophecies, everything they said was going to happen to somebody's actions, and it's not.
That's what Mandy's saying. Mandy's saying she's not even aware of the
prophecies. No, but
prophecies.
it doesn't matter if the person's aware of it or not. The point is, it'll get attributed to it. So no, she's not seeking out to do it. But are we on the understanding that there's not a real magical Azor Ahai that has to come? If we don't,
Azor Ahai is the friends we made along the way. It's a series of steps.
That's what I'm saying. No, I say that it's more virtuous that Danny is not aware of this, and it's more, it's definitely fascinating. But I just don't. You can't have your cake and eat it too on that one. If prophecies are self-fulfilled, then the prophecy about Azor Ahai, there can't be Azor Ahai either. Like, firmly.
In real life, not that Justin will take it as real life, because I guess it's a subjective statement. But with my dreams, I sometimes wonder, did I dream it because it was bound to happen, or did I hyper focus on the dream and accidentally manifest it?
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I go in circles with this thing. But yeah, no one's obligated to even believe I have these dreams, so I don't know if it's much of a parallel, but
I think
not the only one.
These stories in this specific universe, history repeats itself all the time. Mm-hmm. And in the history books of A Song of Ice and Fire, the world of Ice and Fire, there is a lady with a monkey's tail. There is the last hero. There is Azor Ahai. There's even the prince that was promised. We don't even know if the prince that was promised and Azor Ahai are the same things. But when this is laid down, constantly repeated over and over and shown through visions and actual events, I don't feel like it's something that we should just say, oh, this isn't going to happen, or this isn't important, or it doesn't matter.
No, I guess what I should rephrase it as just, do we believe it's like sent from some like God or not? Because I believe that these, like, Danny is going to do these, because she has done a lot of this stuff already. Somebody is going to actually do what needs to be done, and it will check the boxes of the prophecy. But if we believe there's this divine chosen one or not, I think that's the misconception that I didn't really convey it all that well. I think we don't believe that there's somebody that's just born and they're destined to do it. These people are stepping up, and that's a way better story as well, because they don't have magical powers, they get some magic and it's George, so things happen. But you know what I mean? They have agency in their life, and they have to actually do it themselves. They're not like predestined to do anything. So it's not some god.
A couple super chats.
Yeah. So there you go.
Sorry, I one of them like disappeared off into the ether. And
while I grab the super chats, Ara, did you want to finish what you were saying?
No, I was gonna say, when you said the thing about the figures in history and their parallels, I always felt like Danny fit more of that Azor Ahai box. John fit more of the last hero, because I do not believe they're the same person. I think each of these stories kind of goes to show us that every group has their own celebrated hero that they lift up that dealt with this problem. So I feel like John, like in the histories, for whatever part he plays, he's gonna have his own little like John fanboy club in like actual Westeros. Just like, for example, like he loves Aemon the Dragon Knight. So just think like maybe 70, 80 years from now in Westeros, obviously not in our world, but in Westeros, that there's some little boy that's pretending he's Jon Snow. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like these, I guess, like figures and legends of history is kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah, going back a little bit to what Justin was saying. I think that magic exists in this universe, but I think within the universe, I don't think there is a god in the universe. I think it's just kind of, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's just like it hints too much that they're all just kind of creating their own gods rather than they're actually being this like omniscient.
And thank you, because that's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we got a $2 super chat from Wisdom Minari. Thank you, Wisdom Minari. Prophecy never works out well in George R.R. Martin's other books. No, it doesn't work out well. And I specifically am not saying that Azor Ahai is a savior or even a good person. I've talked about this in some of my Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn comparison videos. And we're not doing spoilers on Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, but yeah, prophecy isn't always what it seems. I'm just saying she fits the prophecy, like very literally.
I'm starting to feel like a dictator every time y'all bring up that book, and you're like, "We're not doing spoilers."
And I wish you would, because I want to know about it.
Thumbnail. Yeah.
Well, Alicia, read the book.
Read
I
it.
will one day.
And we have a $4.99 super chat from Maud Mary. Thank you, Maud Mary. Could Melisandre and Bloodraven be half brother and sister on the Blackwood side of the family? They get the green seer blood from there.
Is it ever mentioned anywhere that Missy, I believe is his mother's name, Missy Blackwood, if she had any other children?
Yes,
she had
Willow
and
a
daughter.
Maya.
Yeah, two daughters.
Two daughters. Willow and Maya, I believe. Rivers. And I think they were both by Aegon.
I just think Melisandre's older than that.
I do too. I feel like that's too recent. I personally think their connection isn't more familial. I think it just has to do with like power set. Like I think they're just all green seers and they're all tapping into the same like I bring it up, the werewolf net, like this like kind of like the force, if you will, of George R.R. Martin's world. It's like this interconnected energy that they draw their magic from, their visions from, like whatever that is. I think that's what they all can have connected to one another, which is why they all have the red eyes, that white coloring, and seem to have an older connection, like I think a first man connection.
They had
Ancestry.com. You can definitely see the Blackwoods being powerful because they're, I think, if not the only, they're one of the only first man houses that still worships the old gods in the Riverlands. And what do you have in the Riverlands? You have, I forget the name of it, the God's Eye.
Yeah.
Isle of Faces. Oh my God, I'm bad at this. But I mean, that's like, I feel like it's kind of like a sacred place for them. So, I mean, the proximity to the Isle of Faces alone might really magnify, I mean, no other first houses flung throughout the different regions in Westeros really seem to produce any magical progeny. So, I don't know. I think the proximity to the Isle of Faces.
Like House Reed.
Yeah, but they're in the north. I mean, like the other regions.
Oh, the other kingdoms, yeah.
Yeah, so there are some lingering first houses. Like I believe the Danes are of the first men.
Royce.
But I mean, Royce. Never mind. They do kind of have something that, like the armor, and then never mind. Just dismantle what I said. Just completely dismantle.
No, I think you're right though. It is only ever House Blackwood because House Royce doesn't have any like anything magical.
Or do Danes just have Dawn too? Like, is there really magic involved with that? I mean,
I think Dawn's a magic sword.
Well, I think it's a magic sword, but that doesn't make them. They just obtain a magic sword.
Like in the green seer sense. In the green seer sense that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like I know oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I feel like they have magical artifacts. But
yeah,
I mean,
that'd be accurate.
To be magical in itself, that seems to, as far as the other regions outside of the north, so far with the information we have, it seems to be exclusive to House Blackwood and the Riverlands. So that makes me believe Isle of Faces has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Very, very likely. I have heard that this is fucking tinfoil here. I have heard that Sweet Robin is a green seer and like Bloodraven's fucking with them, or he's like a warg or something.
What a dick.
It's Bloodraven making him crazy.
Oh yeah, because it's like the werewood throne in the Vale, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Someone corrected me. Wisdom did. The Farwinds and the Iron Islands are skin changers.
Well, we can at
Got
least
corrected
say
there.
that water plays a part, right? Like, you know, the reeds are all in the swamps. The riverlands obviously have a lot of water. You know, I mean, so you got to be close to water, maybe.
Yeah. It seems to be very. Listen, I think what they're doing at the House of Black and White is skin changery. Like, I feel like it's skin changing because we get that shadow on the soul thing that Bloodraven tells Bran. And then when Arya puts on the ugly little girl's face, like she feels the choking. And the kindly man is like, shake off the shadows. Shake off the shadows. So there's shadows of the soul still on the face that she's about to put on.
Well, you know something? Someone in Tony Teflon's brand stream a couple days ago just pointed this out. There's a parallel between Ara talking to the kindly man when he shows her his skull face. There's a worm coming out of one of the eyes or like the nose or something, and then when it talks about Bran meeting Bloodraven, there's a worm coming through his empty eye socket. So there is that little parallel there. But it does talk about how Bran was kind of afraid a little bit. Not afraid, but he was shook. He was a little creeped out. Where Arya was like, give me your fucking worm. Fuck you, bitch. I'll eat that worm. You know, so I mean, yeah, but there is the eye parallel to just kind of rip off of what you were saying.
So I do think, like, I don't know if it's necessarily. Does it need to be in your blood? Can you be trained to do it? Did they choose Arya because she had that in her blood? Did Jaqen say, I'm going to give her this coin because I hear her howling in her sleep. So she must be a skin changer. Come to the house.
Dead ass, I think she just kind of heckled him. I don't know, though. I don't know. Because the more I think about it, okay, so Jaqen Hagar, a faceless man, had himself captured and imprisoned in the black cells and happened to be just rolling around with like the Night's Watch recruits. I don't know. I think he was purposefully there. So who knows? Maybe they've had. Here's the deal: the Stark children they're just special. They're just special.
If you can snatch one, I'll get one.
I don't think Jaqen would be anywhere that he didn't specifically mean to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like that with the Red Priests as well. Like, I feel like they kind of move like that. They go to where they need to go. And they do what they need to do. Like, Mokoro is trying to go to Dany. We know Mokoro is trying to go to Dany. Melisandre's with Stannis. She's following him all around. But it's funny because they are not on the same page. They aren't on the same page. Like, if you would think, like, if you're in this temple, and let's just say it's the Christian Church of America, just throwing out a random overgeneralization, please don't get offended. And the church is like, Jesus Christ. And then everyone in the church is like, Jesus Christ. And then just one of the priestesses is like, Stannis. It doesn't, I don't
actually
know what doing.
I think I might have figured it out a little bit. And I hate that I'm going to reference the show on this one. But but when she says, I think it's season 8, I try to wipe out as much of that out of my memory, but where she's like, my job is done. I brought together ice and fire. I think where she's currently in Westeros, I think her visions were sending her to Stannis because she needed to get to Stannis in order to get to Jon. Like, she wouldn't have been at the wall if it wasn't for Stannis. So maybe her visions were guiding her that way, because it's like, all right, I need you to get to him. Once you get in his like inner circle, then that will get you to where we ultimately need you to be, which is we need you to be the one to bring back Jon.
And as I started looking at Melisandre more, that was what I had thought as well, that Stannis was who she was seeing because it was who she needed to get her where she needed to go, and
The
she
vessel.
interpreted it as he was Azor High, or
Just like that Rascal Flatts song, God bless the broken road that led me straight to you.
and Stannis is that broken road.
Yeah, a lot of burnt kids on it with bad.
Oh, I know.
And I think that he was just like Gray said, the vessel that brought her to Jon to where she actually needed to be in place to bring him back and let them meet.
Because he's a powerful man on the run, pretty much, because he's trying to get his throne. You know what I mean? So it's pretty smart, even in a practical way. Like, I mean, that's a pretty good bet that you're going to run across some important people being with Stannis at this time. He's not stagnant in, you know, King's Landing. He's on the move. So
yeah.
I think that I just distracted myself mid-sentence. My ADHD is kicking my ass today. But Disputed Land said a couple minutes ago in the chat when we were talking about Arya skin changing, she pointed out, which by the way, hi Amanda, I want to stream with you one day. Okay, let's both stream together one day. Arya is blinded and isn't given her eyesight back until she skin changes a cat.
Such a weird job interview. Such a weird.
That is a weird job interview.
But,
yeah. I wonder, does she have leave? So if you're a slave, first of all, she says that she's Melisandre from Ashai. We know she's not from Ashai because there's no children in Ashai. So you can't be from there.
I think that she was sold to the temple and then eventually went to go study in the Shy, because I didn't move to Minneapolis till I was 18, but I've been here for 15 years. Minneapolis is my home. So if I were to go elsewhere and people will be like, where are you from? I'm going to say Minneapolis. Like, it would be, I feel comfortable saying like Alicia of Minneapolis, but I'm not from there. I wasn't, you know, I'm not from here. I wasn't born here. I don't even like their passive aggressive culture sometimes, but I mean, it makes sense to me that if she spends as much significant time as she does in Ashai, especially if that's where she gets all the bulk of her training that makes her who she is, she's going to claim Ashai.
Yeah, and if she's been there for the last 600 years.
And she was a slave first, right? So, like, if she went and then was brought in and trained, you know, in getting in the doctrine of this religion, she's gonna, you know, probably be a fervent believer and definitely identify by it for sure.
Right, and going back to the quote where she has the memory that Gray was talking about of Melanie, and people always reference the vision that she has of Hardhome with the snowflakes swirling and the mist coming and turning everyone, you know, cold, and the whole shambled silence that is Hardhome. Moments, the next paragraph. So right above that is where she has that memory of being Melanie. She has the memory of being Melanie, and it says, Lot 7, she was weeping, her tears were flame, and still she drank it in. The next sentence is snowflakes swirled from the dark sky and ashes. She's in Hardhome in the next sentence after she has that memory of being Melanie.
I definitely think she's from Hardhome.
I do too. I've convinced myself.
And you've just convinced me more that
I was going to say, you convinced me about her being taken by the Valyrians and sold to the Ashai, which to me makes a lot of sense because one, she doesn't have the tattoos. It would explain why she says that's where she's from. And all right, please somebody correct. I know you guys will correct me if I'm wrong. Does it ever explicitly say she was sold to the temple?
I think I'm guessing. I don't know.
I'm guessing
because I'm wondering if the reason why I'm saying, if say she was sold to the Ashai and then she got her training there, and then just through her travels, she maybe just like fell like in love with the whole religion of R'hllor and became super zealous that way.
Yeah, that would be an important factor. Because if she was sold to them, meaning that she might hold some resentment towards them, but either way, she would not be technically a slave.
Not if she was hungry and they bought her to feed her.
Yes, that
clothe
valid.
Her and shelter her.
Oh yeah.
I was also gonna say the magic that Melisandre uses It's fire and blood.
It's shadow
I
binding.
was just thinking about like every time she has a vision, she seems to have like blood trickle down her thigh. Like
She does, and she has that
also-
vision when she sees Bloodraven.
mhm.
When she sees Bloodraven, moments later, she says her thighs were slick with black smoking blood.
What a visual.
And she was sold to them. I just confirmed it.
Oh, okay, she was all right.
Producer
Well,
and fact checker.
never mind. Thanks. Throw that all out the window, guys.
Also does say that her that she's stronger at the wall, even stronger than she was in a shy. So it would make sense from a standpoint of her like ancestry, if we're going off of a latent genetic magic, that she had gotten her power from her parent or grandparent, because sometimes these things can skip a generation. We don't know how it works. But if she had gotten this from a family line, that her power would be stronger the more north she went. So Ashai has all of this power that she could tap into. It still wouldn't be as strong as where her roots are.
Ray Lopez here has a bit of a theory that I find quite amusing. Ray says Melisandre is Valyrian. She is the witch that was burned. Then the volcanoes erupted. She escaped and ended up in the ghost grass. The ghost wrapped her. Listen, the ghost wrapped her, and she was reborn as poison ivy. I love
it. Nice one, Ray. Yeah, that's what Wells woman says. Nice wordplay. Rogue Rouge. Okay, so I just spelled it wrong. Sorry, but I'm glad. I'm glad that was genius on accident. Thank you so much.
So you have a super chat from Sweet Melissa or Melissia. I butchered that.
I see it. Super chat from Sweet Melissa. Or is it Melissa? Or is it Melissia?
Or is it Melisha?
Thank you for the $5 super chat. Just wanted to say how much I'm enjoying these DireWolfCity streams. You ladies are lovely and so fun. This DireWolfCity is my favorite thing to do. Like, I love all of them in real life, and I love you guys too. And like, I love spending my Friday nights with you guys.
We love you too, Gray.
Kiss, kiss.
We also have another super chat from Joanne Evans. Thank you for the $10 super chat. You are all awesome. I think Mel is there for R'hllor to fight the great other. Keep up the good work. I agree. Like, I think she's there thinking that she's gonna save humanity. But at the same time, there needs to be something said about this, because the White Walkers want to bring on the winter that never ends, and R'hllor wants to bring on the summer that never ends. And we don't necessarily want that. Like, that's the summer that never ends isn't necessarily good either. Like, there needs to be a balance of natural seasons. And we aren't getting that either way. With the Champion of Fire, we're not getting that. We're not getting that with the Great Other either. There's
a really good quote about problem solving. It says, for every complex problem, there is an answer that is clear, simple, and wrong. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's just the idea that, you know, like, they're bringing back this magic or utilizing this to fix this, but they're creating more problems down the line.
Ooh, they're talking about Patchface in the chat.
I know. I couldn't resist. Like, I just couldn't resist.
But I want to talk about this.
Let's talk about it.
Let's center, ladies, because we're all about to be like over one another. Okay, I'm of the opinion Patchface is not bad. I'm of the opinion.
No.
Yeah. Well, Melisandre had said, I believe she said to John, like when Patchface kind of did this like little like lopsided gait beside them, she kind of looked at him and she's like, that man is dangerous. Many times I've glanced into my fire and I've seen him surrounded by skulls with like lips covered in blood or something like that, which I think could be a misrepresentation of her dreams. However, Melisandre is, I don't want to say notorious because I think it's a good skill. she's pretty dead on with sensing danger to her person. I believe she says it's one of the first things that the priests learn to do. When she feels uneasy around a person, and she exhibits a lot of confidence. She's not going to admit to Jon Snow something makes her uneasy if it isn't for a legitimate reason.
Yeah, but she is afraid of him because he's going to protect Shireen.
Well, and I
Probably,
think that he's
and
more
he's
of a
better
servant
enough.
of. No, go ahead.
Oh, he's a better prophet than she is, probably. It's like bitchy shit.
He is, though.
If Patchface was anything, that he would be a servant of the Drowned God. He would be, because he drowned. He literally drowned, right? When he washed up on the shore, they thought he was dead, and then he just like started wiggling his toes and shit. And exactly, he's a water wight. So anyone who drew their power or their beliefs from fire, I would assume would be a little scared of water. Like, that's probably even more detrimental to her than to her power, not to the world that she's trying to save, but detrimental to her power than the great other.
Yeah.
You know, water puts out flames. That makes.
I was just thinking about rock, paper, scissors.
Exactly.
Fire beats ice, water beats fire.
I think
water wise.
Also that she knows
Ned
that
tried paper.
Wait a minute. What is ice but frozen water?
Can't tell if that's deep or
Yeah,
not.
but like ice beats water because it freezes it and renders it useless. I can have these hypotheticals all day long. They're like,
I was saying no, I was saying it in sense of like the opposition to the fire. Ice is just water, essentially. So
is that
if that
Melisandre?
Because that'd be her opposition.
That makes sense.
I'm landing on deep with this one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just wanted to have a logical Pokemon battle.
No, but I think, Alicia, I think you're onto something. She's like Regina George, and she doesn't like Patchface because his predictions are more accurate than hers. Because like Patchface really has tea. Like I can't figure out what he's talking about with the seashells and shit quite yet. But like I feel like he predicted the purple wedding. He predicted the red wedding. Like he's predicted things.
What if that's it? And the rest is just him being drunk, and everyone's like, "What does it mean?"
Obviously has brain damage too, so that would be pretty embarrassing. Like if you're a mathematician and you walk into a room and you're like, "I'm the best mathematician around." They're like, here's a guy that drowned. He didn't have oxygen to his brain for a long time, so he has obviously brain damage. And then he just schools your ass. Like it's not ideal. It is definitely not ideal. Like, oh, that's not great for
him. It seems very involuntary. Yeah. Where a lot of Melisandre's, like, I don't honestly think she's being bitchy about it. Like, I think she's uneasy about him. Like, I'm going to plug Radio Westeros again because I just love them so much. But they kind of have a theory about the blood on his lips being, if he goes to defend Shireen, it doesn't work out very well for him. And usually when people are like, they get the shit kicked out of them or they're dying, they bleed at the mouth. So it could be like, you know, his blood on his mouth.
Just said something about Patchface mentioning seashells.
Yeah.
That's the Westerling sigil.
I was thinking the same thing.
He wants to blow them. Did he say so? What did he say about the seashell? Blow the seashell horns, you
context, right?
I'm like, you trying to do what to Jane?
Crazy.
I'm gonna have to get a sensor. I gotta get a delay going.
We need a beat button.
Yep.
So I think let's use the term tooting a seashell. Could be used as doesn't sound any better. Could be used as like a summoning, or you know, they use it like a horn, like the whoo, like a conch shell, you know.
Do it again.
No, shut up. So I think maybe there's something to do with the summoning of the Westerlings, or the Westerlings being summoned somewhere. We know that Tywin has been working with the Westerling matriarch we're getting way off topic and way
Well-
in too deep of this.
You dived into Patch
fine.
Face.
It's fine because I'm gonna give you the exact quote. I'm just gonna give you the exact quote. They're talking about who's gonna lead the raid or the party. Patchface jumped up. I will lead it. His bells rang merrily. We will march into the sea and out again. Under the waves, we will ride seahorses, and mermaids will blow seashells to announce our coming. Oh, oh, oh.
I'm just still on how you said blow the Westerlings. I have no maturity tonight.
No, he wants to blow.
And then coming.
I just thought of remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the White Walkers possibly like just going under the water and just like walking through.
Yeah.
So in my head I was just like, oh, what if that's what he's talking about? Because he says like they kind of like go through and then they come up, and then the mermaids, which remind me of like the Manderleys.
I don't want to be that person.
Help.
You know how much it would piss me off if the White Walkers just walk underwater and come up the other side.
It's the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the crossover you didn't know you needed.
I will stop reading the books for 5 minutes.
You're all going to come through with Jack Sparrow. It's going to be awesome.
No, I'm going to put the book down, go find something to do, get a life, walk the dog, do something.
Hear me out.
That's going to piss me off.
Hear me out. Remember we talked about Quinn's theory about the Black Sea? So what if Patchface views the wall as a wave? Like it's frozen water. So what if he views the wall as a wave? And he's saying we're going to go under the wave. So they're going to go under the wall in tunnels or something. What if he's not talking about him? He's talking about somebody else.
Are you talking about that little cavern system that Grendel and Grimy or whatever his name is got lost in?
Grendel and Gorn? Yeah.
Gorn. Let's call it Grimy.
Grimy.
I like Grimy better.
I don't know who the mermaids are.
That's a pretty good. I know you're twisting words. And you're making a lot of stuff work, but it's good.
Manderleys and the mermaids.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the Manderleys.
Oh yeah, the Manderleys.
Oh, I'm just like
the mermaids.
I'm just bullshitting at this point. But the only people who like really have mermaid symbolism at this point are the Manderleys, which by the way, going back to Rickon and Jon Snow and the whole Borg thing, I think that the whole point, not the whole point, but one of the points of Rickon at this point is to create a secession issue with Jon, because Jon is king in the North because Robb believed that Bran and Rickon are dead. Therefore, there's no one to succeed him but his bastard brother. Even though the king's will says that Jon is the new king, you know there are going to be people that are contesting this claim. Wyman Manderley is going to be one of them because he wants Rickon back pretty bad. So maybe the Manderleys, making this up just now, don't get mad at me, people. Don't say I'm stupid.
No, this was covered last week. You're on point. Yeah.
You know, maybe, just maybe, the Manderleys are really going to create hell for Jon Snow, which is not good in the long run because Jon Snow is one of the few things standing between them and a snowy apocalypse. A snowy zombie apocalypse.
Penbrick Warback, I believe. Yeah, no, I'm all on for that, Alicia. Actually, I think that makes a lot of sense. We talked about that last week a little.
But I don't know what it would have to do with Patchface's little. I don't remember the little rhyme. I can't make it fit.
I'm sure you said something.
Let's read it one more time for everybody on the panel and in the chat. I will lead it. His bells rang merrily. We will march into the sea and out again. Under the waves, we will ride seahorses, and mermaids will blow seashells to announce our coming. Oh, oh, oh.
Wyman Manderley is a white, confirmed.
Yeah. So some of Patchface's stuff, like, you know, isn't figured out because it hasn't happened yet. Like, some of it is obvious, like the red wedding thing is obvious because it's happened.
Right, and we're assuming that Reynold Westerling was killed at the red wedding, but we don't know for sure.
Right.
I think there is that shit.
There is a bastard daughter I don't remember her name, Joy Hill. Is that her name? So she has been promised to a Frey,
Lucky.
right? So so they would then be aligned with the Lannisters, because the Lannisters and the Freys and the Boltons have aligned since the Red Wedding.
So what if, because there are quite a few theories about the Manderleys and the Freys and the Boltons charging on Stannis' little camp. There are a lot of theories that Stannis has been poking holes very purposefully in that lake so that the charging, so
Night lamp.
I believe the Manderleys are in the vanguard right now. So if a lot of the Manderley forces go down into the lake, they're staying there, especially since they're armored, the ones on horses. When the others come and they reanimate those corpses, those mermaid men could be coming out of that's the best I got on the fly.
That's good.
I like that.
That's good.
because
like
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, other than the Red Wedding and the Purple Wedding, other than everything he said, like, his predictions aren't like super earth shattering.
Yeah.
I take that back. That was pretty earth shattering, the Red Wedding. But I mean, like, he says these offhanded things a lot of the time. So I can see him accidentally predicting a bunch of like whites coming out of the water with sinking mermaid, whatever
And
you call them.
they would blow the horn to announce they're coming because they're whites. They blow the horn.
Oh, the Night's Watch.
Yeah. So the people at Winterfell, when those White Walkers come down on it, would be blowing the horn. Like,
Ray Lopez says, "We identify as mermen. Thank you." Wow.
okay.
Mer peoples.
And even if Reynold was dead, he would have died in his, his, not necessarily his armor, but his coat of arms would be visible somewhere on his person. And if he is indeed dead, then he would rise with them, and he kind of was in charge before he died. He was like Rob's right hand man. He was like right there with everything. So if any of that carries on over into the afterlife, he would be the one leading the whites north.
That lake, that's what you're talking about, the one that they're always referencing that Stannis' men are fishing in, right? And drilling holes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely, like, I think the Freys are going to fall into that.
I think a bunch of people are going to fall into it, but I think like the surcoats, that's what they're called. I think that
surcoats.
This being, I think I just came up with it like 3 minutes ago. But I mean, what I'm saying is like a bunch of Manderley
will be first.
Knights, with the mermen, Ray Lopez on their surcoats will come out of the water. I'm not sold on that. It's just like kind of.
I'm buying
could
it.
Be a
I'm buying in full.
I'm buying it.
I was gonna say, in a certain book, who we're not supposed to spoil, but I'm about to briefly touch upon. Isn't there a battle where there's like the forces that had the larger numbers kind of get a disadvantage by falling into like a lake that like cracks with ice? Yeah. You gotta read it. This literally, that's why I'm like, I feel like I really hope I don't know the ending, but there are so many tie-ins. It's insane.
Actually, the creator of that theory, I think, the Night Lamp theory, I did a Obsidian Nights episode with him. It's a really good theory. You guys should read it. We're gonna probably talk about it when we get to the Stannis episode in depth. Wish you could read Memory and Star on Thorn before then. Sorry, just kidding. We have another super chat, $2 super chat from Josh Gripe. Thank you, Josh. Stannis, shout out to my stepdad. Oh my gosh. You guys love Stannis so much.
Just call him
Ooh.
Zaddy. Just come out and call him
I will.
Zaddy. We know what
Wait, actually, wait, I have a question for you guys, just because since we're supposed to be talking about Melisandre.
Yeah.
So where we leave off in the books, like the last like kind of mention of Melisandre's like intended plans, or I guess like what's happening, is them saying, like John reading a letter saying that Stannis is dead. Do you think she actually believes that he's dead, or how do you think she's gonna like what next steps do you think she's about to take immediately when we like see her again?
She would have seen it in her fires. Like I think she believes she would have seen that in her fires if he were dead.
There was somebody in the chat that said they think she wrote it.
Ooh.
Oh, that was Amanda.
But
Amanda.
how would she?
I think she poses
Okay,
as
so
idea,
Amanda, type really quick because I'm kind of curious. Did she just like right outside of, like, did she just give it to a raven and be like, okay, come back? Like how would she? Because like someone delivered it to John. I'm guessing it came by raven. You know, but that's intriguing. That's super. But my whole thing is like, if Ramsay did write it, I think it's just him just fucking lying so bad. Like that dude at a frat party that's like, oh yeah, I fucked
Amanda
her.
says it wasn't her, Justin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think somebody just posed the idea. Sorry about that. They didn't say it like absolutely. They said, what if?
I like the idea of her writing it.
It's interesting.
Like I think to move John.
It was either Ramsay or Mance, in my opinion, because I don't know. I think it was Mance because it just seems so. Every time I see the word bastard on page, my instincts are telling me it's written quite aggressively, like bastard, bastard, bastard. And I feel like the only two characters involved in the Northern plot that would write it so forcefully like that are Ramsay, who's projecting hardcore, and Mance, who just loves to fuck with people, especially John. Yeah. So, but we're so off kilter here.
Yeah. So I want to get back to like in the books, what's going on. I don't think Melisandre thinks that Stannis is dead. No matter who wrote the letter, I don't think she thinks he's dead. Like she would be the first person to know. Like I'm pretty sure she checks on him.
Do we even know if she? God, I just read this chapter recently for the umpteenth time. Where the fuck is Melisandre when the shit hits the fan? Like, where is she? Like the one time she makes herself scarce.
I think she's probably looking for Selyse, because figure John at that point pretty much reads what happened. Like Stannis is dead and I'm going south, and who's coming with me? You don't have to if you don't want to, because you don't have to break your vows, but I'm going south. So I think, and it says that she walks out the hall. So I'm assuming her first step is, I need to go to see Selyse before somebody else does, because, you know, somebody's going to be like, Selyse, he's dead. And she's going to be like, no, trust me, he's not dead. I didn't see it.
How ironic is that? She keeps telling John, like, you need to be careful. You need to be careful. And next thing she turned around, she's like, fuck, I missed the stabbing. Oh, fuck. Oh.
I'll tell you one reason I think he's not dead. Shireen still has to get burned.
Mm-hmm.
And that's George said that's a thing. Like that's one.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna kill Stannis off page like that.
And
not like that.
The sacrifice is Stannis doing it. Is Stannis being the one to do it? Like that's the twist. Shireen dying just because she's being sacrificed is no different than any other person that's died. But for her father to do it, that's a bit much.
And they made it very clear how fond he is of the daughter, and when his wife is not. You know what I mean? George has been driving this, even if he gets a kickback from the show doing it. He did tell him it was happening. I don't believe he's going to change his mind on it. He's been working at that one for a while.
Yeah, it was one of the big 3 shocks that David and Dan had talked about, because they were absolutely, I think he's following through with it. And what's on top of that, I feel like Mel would sense it. It's something that has to be on page. And this is just speculation on my end, but I think that Stannis gets killed by another.
Ooh.
Or, I don't think it's going to be some random white. But that would be funny for all the Stannis bros out there that are like, I'd suck his dick. I'm so straight, though. I'm so straight. I'd suck Stannis.
Only fairly accurate.
Actually be Brienne. Because she needs that so bad, and she's just so far away, and she's all got this entanglement with Jaime and Stoneheart, and she's not gonna get that, and I wanted that for her. Sucks.
I mean, you never know. She got it in the show. I do think there are certain things in the show that we'll still see in the books, just the books will be obviously more well done. So I think maybe the parts in the book that we were like, what? Like David and Dan tried to do what they could to make it true to the books, but they just didn't have the time or the resources to really, really elaborate upon it.
Who else would be better at being me than myself? I mean, nothing's going to ever be better than the book. And they really dropped the ball, obviously.
I think that I had a question for you guys. And there's also some questions from Twitter and Discord that I want to get to before we run out of time. We got about 20 more minutes. I'll just read them from my phone. It's fine. So this is the question that I had because it was talked about a lot in the prelude to season 8. And it was about the fiery hand from Volantis. Do you think Winds of Winter, we will see the fiery hand coming to Westeros?
Absolutely, yes. Maybe not Winds of Winter, at least Stream of Spring. Whenever this big old battle's going down, they are definitely coming, because what is the point of mentioning they have 1,000 soldiers and their big opposition is the Great Other? And obviously with the White Walkers coming back, it's clear as day who this Great Other is for them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, we don't know, but...
Not only that, but I think they follow Dany over. And I think there needs to be more reasoning as to why Dany has a hard time endearing herself to the people, because she brings over this foreign god with these zealots and all this other stuff. So I think that's another plot point that really gives them not armor so much as they won't die. They all gonna die. But I mean, like, that definitely drives it home for me. Like, they will make their way to Westeros, because I think it's one of the ways that Aegon/Fagon is really going to appeal to the people, because Mad King's daughter is trying to usurp Rhaegar's son's throne, and she's got this foreign god. So it's something she'll bring with her that's just going to make things more difficult for her, but benefit her when it comes to fighting the army of the dead. So,
yeah.
Well, and at this point, she's got a foreign everything. The only thing that she has from Westeros is
her,
Aura, and eventually Tyrion, and they're both not
and
exactly
Sir Barristan,
their favorite people. Well,
I'm like, Sir Barristan's still alive. I'm holding hope. I'm holding hope.
I
don't think he makes it back.
Just like side eye the shit out of me, but I think he's surviving the Battle of Fire, and I think he's going to Westeros with her, and I think he's defecting to Fagon.
Yeah,
and
I don't think he's going to stay with her.
Oh, okay, yeah, but I think
sick of these disloyal.
I don't know about that, but I think
counselors of Dany's.
But at least coming over, I was say when she's coming over, I think Barristan will help her credibility a lot.
Well, I think it's.
I think that. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
I just think it's a political thing. Like, you know, like a lot of times candidates like are people that are currently in office could fix a lot of things, but it won't play well in the next election. So it's like you could fix stuff, but you won't get elected, right? So Dany's gonna fix a lot of stuff, but she ain't gonna get elected, and it's not a fair world.
Poor Bernie. Burn.
Yeah.
Feel the burn. I wanted Bernie. It still hurts. It still hurts.
But what about Makoro's with Dany, or trying to get to Dany. Yes. So say Makoro gets to Dany. They come over here with the fiery hand. Any other priests or priestess? Like, because if you can do magical fiery shit with your brain, like Melisandre did to Oral's eagle, then I think we need that. Like, I feel like if you've been waiting, if your whole life you've been waiting to fight this long night, and this long night is upon us, you need to be like coming over to fight, right?
Absolutely. And not only that, but it's like, you mean to tell me 1,000 of you people did not one of you saw this in a vision? I would imagine that at least multiple have seen similar visions that they would kind of piece together and be like, oh, okay. Or even Melisandre, once like the threat, like if there is a breach at the wall, which I think there is going to be a breach at the wall, I definitely see her sending over a raven immediately, like, all right, we need to get this news over to there, because if they're not already on their way, we need them here immediately.
Yeah.
I think as much as she's going rogue, if she sends word to her peeps and she's like, hey, I done seen some shit, they're gonna listen.
Yeah,
but
she's really respected in their order too.
I think
she's really powerful. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think they're gonna follow the dragons. Wherever the dragons are, they're gonna follow them.
Yeah. But I do wonder, I mean, Melisandre's gotta know about Dany at this point. She's gotta know. And I don't
what's talking about it. You would think she would have heard something.
Only get one point of view chapter. Like, I get that, like, she's at the wall, there's only so much she can think about in one chapter, it's supposed to be vague at this point, but like, she doesn't so much as think about Dany in her chapter. So but we do have a super chat from Josh Gripe, or Greep, however you say it. He said, off topic, but had to defend Step Stannis. Personally, I think Mel will burn Shireen without Stannis' permission, and he will die a tragic but heroic death. Biased Stannis fan here, though. Josh, love that for you, but that sounds like a personal problem, that opinion you have going on. I'm just messing with you, but I do think he has something to do with burning Shireen.
George has been
part of the sacrifice. It's the Nisa sacrifice. I think it's his decision. If Mel does it, it's not a sacrifice.
Yeah, like much. I talked about that a little bit in the White Walker video, where the children of the forest sacrificing their own young is more of a sacrifice than them sacrificing 1,000 motherfuckers that they don't even care about.
Yeah, that's war. The other is a sacrifice. Like, if George literally...
It has to be sacred to you to sacrifice it.
George would literally, that would be brought up in like literary classes. Like, they would use that as an example if he didn't have Stannis be the one to do it. Like, it would be that bad. It's been built so much, it has to be him.
So Stannis' whole reasoning is like, when he wants to kill Edric, is basically like, what's one bastard boy against a whole entire kingdom? Davos is the one that like is like everything. But Stannis is very military minded and very
pragmatic,
confused as well.
I think it is a sacrifice for him, because look at the whole Renly thing. He's still, not that I want to be like, poor man had to sacrifice his own brother. I mean, it haunts him. It still fucks with him.
As it should.
That peach.
That peach.
Oh, that peach.
But there are parts of me that are like, no, I feel sorry for you, you narcissistic fuck. But no, I'm neutral with Stannis as far as the character goes. I enjoy reading about him. The only thing that gets me is like his fan base, because you have some dudes that are like, they'll give you legitimate reasons with like verses and not verses, like it's the Bible. Okay. With like passages and everything for why they like Stannis. And there are dudes that like think it's a whole personality trait that like can't really name why they like Stannis other than like they feel like it's the acceptable thing to say amongst the bros in A Song of Ice and Fire. I think Stannis is all right. It's just like his fan base can be a bit like
he has an appeal. He's a no nonsense, he's a silent, strong type.
Save it for the Stannis episode. This is not about Stannis.
Okay, but Melisandre is linked to Stannis. Okay, it's not like we were talking
All right,
about
Justin,
Cersei.
go ahead, Justin.
No. Let her get out the slander on Stannis, and then shut my.
No, ahead, Justin.
I
Proceed.
All I'm saying that you can see the appeal to him because he's kind of a no nonsense. Let's just get it done. In this whole series, book and show, you're dealing with a situation when you just want people to get their shit together. He's the only one that actually can deviate from his actual political ambitions, which I think he actually just wants to be the king because he is that much of a pragmatist that he's like, they told me I'm king, that's what our laws say, so I'm gonna be king. But he actually identifies the threat and all this stuff, so there is a lot to be said for him to be appealing as far as his general character. But then we get into the nitty gritty, you see that he's got Mel in there playing with his head, and he's doing a lot of stuff
and playing with his little.
Well, that's how do you think you get to the head, Alicia? Yeah.
The other one.
There's the first stop. Yeah.
I was gonna say that I don't love Stannis. Stannis isn't my favorite, but I don't dislike him. I feel like him and Daenerys have a lot of similarities. But one thing I do respect Stannis for is he is the only king, person, lord of Westeros that answered the call to aid the Night's Watch. So he always gets points from me for that. Now, what I will say is he did, however, have a red priest beside him whispering in his ear about what to do. It's not like and Davos gives him the cart before the horse or horse before the cart speech, but it's his counselors, it's Davos that makes him do good. It's not him doing good because he wants to do good. It's Davos.
Well, all of us have our.
Oh wait, can I was gonna say, actually, this relates directly to your point. A question for all of us. It's from the super chat from Mon Mary. Thank you. She says, it just occurred to me that Stannis is Melisandre's big mistake and Melisandre is Stannis's big mistake.
It's like that with me and my ex-boyfriend too.
Same.
But do you guys feel that way?
I mean, the motivation for doing good is always going to be, it's either the risk of, the bad party in the afterlife or something. So, I mean, people's reasonings and motivations for doing good shit is usually not all that great. So, I agree with you, though. And he's not some, epic hero by any means. It's George R. R. Martin, for God's sakes.
So, Grey Waste Tim said, we need Brendan Beefish back to talk Stannis and all the things he couldn't say to Grey and Quinn after his mic broke. He probably broke his mic on purpose because I started talking about Courtney Penrose and he wasn't ready for that. No, I'm just kidding. But he's actually a really busy person. So when we get to the Stannis episode, I know this is usually an all-girls show, but when we get to the Stannis episode, we are going to bring on Tony Teflon, and Justin is also going to join the panel officially for that episode so we can have the male perspective on Stannis and it's not just us shitting all over Stannis.
I'm neutral with Stannis.
I'm neutral
it's
too.
Oh, man.
So we can have some pro Stannis, we can have some neutral, and then Mandy and Ara can do that magnificent. Here's the thing about Mandy, as sweet as she is, me and MJ were talking about this on the phone today. Mandy is savage, and I look forward to it. I look forward to it when we talk about Stannis. You are savage, baby.
You are savage. I love you for it. We have a question.
Opinions.
We have a question on Twitter from Crowfoot's daughter, Amanda. How do you think Melisandre knew about the magical ward on Storm's End?
Maybe it's just fact over in Ashai.
Like history.
I was going to say, I mean, in our World of Ice and Fire book, that's supposed to be written by an in-world Maester, so I'm assuming it's an in-world book. It mentions how the walls at Storm End have were built by Brandon the Builder and have that magic element, and I'm assuming that's common knowledge.
I thought it was common knowledge too. The things that Brand the Builder had built were, magical. They were runed up and suited up to I mean, it had to be to withstand the storms. I mean, that shit fell how many times before he finally got that fucking drum to work? Storm's End fell over and over and over. And then finally he's like, fuck it, stick it together with, super glue and spells.
Valerian methods, yeah.
I would imagine anyone that studies the arcane arts is pretty knowledgeable about all the things all the various structures around Planetos that have magical. I mean, think about it. Mel arrived at the wall and she just knew. She's like, yep, I'm more powerful here. It's a hinge of the world. And it's like, how the fuck did you know that? So I'd imagine after all that studying.
Yeah.
That would be. But Josh Gripe is not having the Stannis slander over here. Another super chat. He says, even as a Stannis fanboy, I love Courtney Penrose. And that is what you call an objective person. Thank you, Josh.
Courtney Penrose is the most savage person. When Melisandre's like, may the Lord of Light protect you. And he's like, may the others bugger your Lord of Light and wipe my ass with your sigil. Like, he really can live.
You know what he reminded me of in Monty Python and the Holy Grail? He's like, your mother smelled the little dude at the top of the battlements with the French accent. Like, your mother smelled like gerbils and elderberries or some crap like that. That's what same energy.
Yeah.
I want to have a Courtney Penrose appreciation stream. Like a Courtney Penrose.
He's so sassy.
Targeting 0.1% of the fan base.
Recall, my lord, if you do know the name of this castle. Yes.
I feel like by the time you're done with it, there are going to be some Courtney Penrose.
No, you could. You're a trendsetter. You don't follow it.
Out of it.
Trendsetter. There you go. Be a leader.
Oh, can we just say what Alex One just said, just to hurt our feelings? He talked all that shit and still got wrecked by a shadow. Just saying. Well, thanks.
But you know what? The thing about Courtney Penrose is Courtney Penrose, and this is why this is the thing I got against Stannis. Courtney Penrose challenged him to a duel, and Stannis said no. Yeah, you can have Edric in this castle, but fight me for it 1-on-1. And Stannis said no. And Sir Courtney Penrose said, is it your sword arm or the justice of your cause that you doubt, my lord? And he didn't fight him. He sent a fucking shadow baby to kill him. And there's no honor in that.
But you can't fight people that challenge you to single combat as a monarch, because like that's like, if you don't have an army and you don't like the guy, just go.
John would do it.
Okay, everybody knows John would do it. I guarantee
that one dude was like boning his daughter, and he's like,
I'm just saying
Baelor Breakspear as the crowned prince.
Throughout history, that was a thing. No, they didn't allow monarchs to do that because that shit would happen all the time. Is my point.
He didn't do it because the justice of his cause was bullshit.
Maybe. Fair enough.
Because his balls were in a box somewhere in Melisandre's chest or
in her powders and potions.
In her powders. What if his balls?
Well, talk about toxic masculinity, and I'm the guy here, and I'm saying, listen, it's because if you have a good ruler and they get challenged to a fight, they have to back down, because it's not worth some idiot coming and killing the guy, or woman, by the way, whoever the leader is, because they got some freaking, some qualms with them. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, all this toxic masculinity on your guys. That's just being over aggressive overall. Bastards. A bunch of jerks. All right, I'm gonna mute now. Yeah, yes, scamps. I said scamps.
So Josh Gripe, another super chat, says, very down for a Courtney Penrose stream. It's official. No, I don't call these shots.
It's official.
And then Wisdom Minari says, Rob denied Jamie a duel as well. But I think Rob knew, this might just be a show thing that he said this. If we do this your way, you'll win. We're not going to do this your way. Rob seemed pretty open about the fact that Jamie was going to win that one-on-one. So he's like, nah, I'm good. And I'm pretty good with backing out of this one. I think because Courtney is much older.
Like an old man.
The difference there is Rob didn't send someone to kill Jaime like a little bitch.
Yeah, after the thing I can't defend, but there is strength in knowing when not to fight.
Wisdom Minari also said Jaime would have ate that ass. Yes, Jaime would have smashed
Not in the good
Rob
way.
Stark. Like,
Yes.
very, very.
Well, think about it.
See-
It was Jaime in his prime. Rob was just like, what, 14 at the time? Like, Rob has prowess strategically. It's not that he's not a good fighter, but it always talked about how Jon was always walloping on Rob. And that's not saying Rob is bad, but I mean, like, this is Jaime fucking Lannister that we're talking about before his muscles deteriorated and he had his hand chopped off. So, yeah, I'd back out of that one too, real quick. Especially if I feel like my family members' lives are on the line.
The ones that are still left, because he took 10 of them down, his personal guard. What, 10? Was it 10 or 13 that Jaime takes?
He did some damage.
So, like, 10 people himself, you know, so yeah.
Other than the incest, Jaime's kind of zaddy in some ways, if you exclude the incest, which is like 50% of his being. But, you know, there's a little bit of zaddy in there.
I met Nickelodeon Costco, Walmart in real life.
Yeah.
I met Nickelodeon Costco Walmart in real life, and he's so tall and sweet and hot. But I get Jaime zaddy too. Like, look, Jaime. Besides the sister fucking. But we have 3 questions I want to get to from Discord. The first question is from Timmy. I had this theory that Mel needs to sacrifice herself to stop the White Walkers. Nissa Reborn. She is described as a heart on fire. What are your thoughts on that?
What if she's the one that goes down the way that Benjen went down in the show? Just like some fire wielding eventually gets torn apart by whites because fuck it, everything is stupid, everything is meaningless. What if?
Like a sacrifice play to maybe if at the battle at Winterfell, where I personally think they're going to get overrun, maybe Melisandre does go out in some type of like blaze of glory, just abide people time to like actually escape.
Because in the show, we should start like a swear jar every time we say show.
We have to take a shot.
We will die. Okay, I will die. I don't know how y'all's organs are. No, I mean, she does stuff with fire, which she might end up doing in the books. But I mean, it was kind of like it started out exciting. Like I'm still confused about the Dothraki and the Akras. Or the RX, and then I'm still confused. I
have an idea. I just need to get this out before I forget it.
Okay.
What if Daenerys is Azor Ahai? Melisandre bringing Jon back. Melisandre's Nissa, and she's described as a heart of fire. So she tempers Jon, brings him back. Jon is Lightbringer. Jon himself is Lightbringer. Like how we view Drogon, how some people view Drogon, the actual dragon, as the stallion who mounts the world.
You should write an essay.
I mean, go and watch it. These are all theory videos somewhere, people. I mean, they're very lucrative, but I don't think
I love you. I want you to know that.
Is it an essay that John's like?
I think it's more of a tweet. But it's good. It's good. It works. It works as a metaphor, yeah.
I just think metaphorically, because he said heart of fire. So a heart of fire resurrecting Jon. And it was a fire. It was a heart that tempered Lightbringer. So
because I had the Winterfell as Lightbringer, meaning that first it's water, right? That's the Ironborn coming and taking it. Second, it's the lion, right? He puts it through the line. Now this is where you get, and real crafty with it. The Boltons, but under the banner and approval of the Lannisters, taking it. So that's the lion. And then third is Drogon has to go into the crypts and he has to reignite the streams. And he forges Lightbringer, meaning Winterfell itself is Lightbringer. And it's what protects them with its natural hot, streams and all that stuff like that. I did a video on that. It got me an article and a bunch of views. So, I don't believe it. And I say it in the video. I don't believe it's going to happen, but Fair enough. It's fun to think about.
I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear.
No, but it's fun. No, but there's worth in theory. There's worth in it. You know, it doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition, but it's fun.
It's
to
okay.
think about.
It's how Trump got into office.
No, well, this isn't like that.
All right, before we start getting demonetized, and by we I mean MJ Gray.
We have a question from Melinda. She says, Melisandre barely sleeps, barely eats, has black blood, and even has red eyes. It says she studied her arts for years beyond count, and she had paid the price. Is she fire made flesh, a fire white, an other from another mother, if you will? I just think that she is a magical being that is extended her life with magic. So she isn't necessarily human anymore because she doesn't have to eat. Like, she has to remind herself to eat, and she doesn't need to sleep. And she only does these things, I guess, to convince the people around her that she's human, like when she reminds herself to do it. But I don't necessarily, I know there's ideas of her being like the fire version of like the Night's Queen. But that's like the closest I can think of.
We've discussed this in the Discord before, and I think what it's more referring to is the similarities between Melisandre, Barrick, and Lady Stoneheart. They all don't eat, don't sleep, don't have red blood. They have to like remind themselves to like act human, like you said, Melisandre does. And the black blood again is, I think, is mentioned twice for Mel. It's once when she births the shadow baby, and once when she sorry, a comment keeps popping into my head every time I think about this. When she sees Bloodraven in her flames, the comment was that because she had birthed a shadow baby, that she became aroused when she saw Bloodraven, and that she displayed her arousal with the blood rather than what she normally would. And that's why it was a very interesting comment, and I scrolled rather quickly. But again, I think it's more...
Yeah, I don't see the court, but go ahead.
Good Lord!
I think it's more... I did a deep dive. I'm sorry. I did a really deep dive in preparation for this video. And I found some shit, people. I found some shit. So but again, I think
white ass pussy.
Oh God!
White is it? Because congealed. That I'm not gonna. I gross myself out. I'm sorry. I just.
It was a bop.
Nope. Taking a seat on this one.
It wasn't a wop. Right. It was a bop.
So
anyhow,
Mel doesn't. Again, she doesn't sleep.
The similarities between Mel and the other fire whites in the story.
I was gonna say, I just thought of it when you were talking about like parallels. Mel, the Ghost of High Heart, and Bloodraven all share the commonality of not only the red eye thing, but they all have lived very extended lives.
Yes.
Very, because like figure the Ghost of High Heart was old back when Egg was king, so she would be older than Aesir Aemon, and he's the oldest living person in Westeros. That would actually put her closer to kind of like Bloodraven's age, maybe even older than Bloodraven. And she's still kicking around in the Riverlands, asking for songs and whatnot, and giving dream visions. So I think of her and Mel very similarly, where she lives in her natural state, where Mel puts on this glamour to look youthful, to like kind of entice men and like seduce men in that way to gain power. Where I think the Ghost of High Heart kind of like didn't feel the need to do all that and just played the crone role.
Yeah. So I agree with that, and it makes me wonder. So when Melisandre in the show, when Melisandre interacted with Arya, that never happens in the books. But what was said to Arya by Melisandre was said by the Ghost of High Heart in the book, like a part of that. I see a darkness in you. The Ghost of High Heart said that. to Arya in the books. And they translated that to Melisandre on the show. And I've always wondered why they chose to do that. And there could be a connection between them two.
That's a good pickup right there because characters, so they got some.
I believe it's called the law of conservation when adapting into a film production. Like law of conservation. Never heard of? Come on, guys. You've had to. Okay. Anyway, the law of conservation is essentially like, for instance, that the first season they could not afford horses, so everybody walked everywhere on foot. Law of conservation. Okay, you couldn't possibly, because of time and resources, put all these different lords it describes in the book. So you go with about 4, make it good. Hire those 4 actors. Law of conservation.
No, yeah, I get. No, yeah, you have to keep the sentiment, you have to keep the theme, and you have to convey it in a visual sense. So things have to be cut and things can be added. So yeah, no, obviously you have to do that. No, I don't use that phrase a lot.
Yeah,
it's a good one though.
So Melisandre, in Winds of Winter, we have her bringing back Jon. But what does she do after that? Like, what is her, like, we have Makoro that's going to bring the fiery hand. Because we believe they're going to come with Dany. So what is her role after Jon?
I'm wondering if she switches sides.
I think she's going to follow Jon around for a hot minute. However, I think she might be smart and try to, I don't know, she might defect to Jon. Because obviously, if she can bring him back from the dead, Azor Ahai confirmed. And
she has to get back to Stannis, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, I was gonna say if she brings Jon back, she's gonna fully be behind, and she already had this vision of Jon. So where they may pretty much have this rumor going around in Castle Black that Stannis is dead, she could just maybe obviously knowingly that she knows Stannis isn't dead, but I think she might be like, oh, maybe I can use this as an excuse to be like, oh, he is dead. Let me go ride out with Jon. And then when she finds out, she can be like, oh, you were around. Oops. Like, yeah, she can kind of play it off.
I already found another Azor Ahai. This is awkward.
Yeah, my dad.
It's kind of cute. Yeah, she's like a high school scout, like going around and a pitcher hurts his arm, and he like goes to the Red Roof Inn for a few weeks to like keep an eye on a kid in another school district. And he's like, oh, he's back. Okay, I'll go back. Weighing the options.
But I do think that Stannis kind of like chooses to burn Shireen himself, probably. Because I think once Jon comes back, Melisandre's team, Jon Snow, I don't think she's going to do a whole lot of messing around with Stannis. So I think what Stannis does is going to be desperation. Still believing that he is the one true king. He is Azor Ahai.
The rules of conservation would say that we need to keep that sentiment from the book, and we definitely do.
Well,
do you want to fight when we're done streaming?
No.
I feel like it's going to happen right on the stream. Like, honestly. It's going to happen right on the stream.
Close it up.
So, basically, Melisandre's big role in Winds is to bring Jon back and to bring Jon back. Basically, and I believe to facilitate the burning of Shireen. I also feel like she's gonna have a lot of prophecy. Now, I don't know if we're gonna, like, we've talked about this, like, and we're gonna talk about it more in the Jon Snow episode. But I just want to talk about we don't know if it's going to be from Melisandre's POV that Jon Snow is resurrected in, or if it's going to be from someone else's POV. But Melisandre is the only POV at the wall right now that's alive.
What if it's from Jon's point of view in Ghost? Because I'm kind of intrigued by the idea of, you had Dance of Dragons that opens up with Faramir, and kind of like that icy sensation of him like going into the tree and then going into like all this shit until he goes into, I think, One Eye is the big wolf that he goes into and lives his second life. And it talks about like basically like it felt like going into a frozen lake. So when John dies, he says ghost, and it says he never felt the fourth knife, only the cold. I don't think it means cold as in like, you watch those comedic death scenes where they're like, it's so cold. I think he's going into his second life. He's feeling that same like frozen like sensation that Faramir did. So it would kind of be cool if when he's going back into his body, it kind of goes through that whole warg sensation of returning to your first life. I think that would be cool. Not sold on
I think it would be too.
I was thinking the same thing as well, because we get plenty of examples of them like throughout the books, like the different kids, their perspectives of them inside their wolves and how. So I feel like all of that little setup would be for a bigger payoff in the end. So I can see that happening. And what a nice way to like mic drop that chapter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, we're going to get into this more next probably 2 weeks, because I know y'all are going to pick Stannis. We'll probably get into this in 2 weeks during John Week, but I feel like George has kind of already set us up for a very unique perspective with John in the 2 chapters in which we saw John speaking to Gilly and Sam. We see John speaking to Gilly through John's perspective, but we see John speaking to Sam through Sam's perspective. These 2 scenes are almost interlapping. They do, in fact, interlap at the very end of John's chapter, where Gilly runs out crying and Sam runs into Gilly on her way out. But we still see that chapter from 2 different that segment of time through 2 different perspectives. And I think it would be very, very interesting if we saw Melisandre attempting to resurrect John through John's eyes in Ghost. And then the very next John chapter would be John waking up, picking up right where Ghost left off.
Am I the only one that likes the idea of John not having POVs after the resurrection?
Yes.
I think it could work, but I'll be quiet.
I want to read his thoughts.
No, I want to know what's going on in a White's mind. That would be
that too. Yeah. Also, what Alicia said. I really need to hear those Val thoughts, because I love Val.
So we are at the point in the episode where you guys get to pick what we cover next week. You have a choice.
Antlers, people.
You can put the deer emoji if you want Stannis. Put the wolf emoji if you want John.
People in the chat, there's few that like it. Thank you.
Tags. Okay, I did have one more question from someone in the Discord. It's referring to Melisandre's vision at Hardhome. And we'll talk about that while y'all vote for Stannis. Love you. So as she's looking at this scene of Hardhome, right? She sees the ashes, she sees the white mist, which can be taken either way, the mist from the whites or the white colored mist, the mist of the others, and it's extinguishing the fires of the cave dwellers one by one, freezing them to death, and the others come and kill the ones that aren't dead yet. But the question is, do you think that this is a vision of the future, and that Tormund will arrive and it will be eerily silent and emptier, which is arguably scarier than a battle? And because we know Winds is going to be scary. Like that's the promise for this book, is it's going to be horror. So he shows up and Hardhome is silent and empty, and the people who were in Hardhome have joined the army of the Whites. Or do you think they will still be there to ambush Tormund and his people? Do you think Hardhome is going to be empty?
I really hope. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I just really don't want Tormund to die, just because I just thought of that quote when Tormund talks about how he had to put his son down. He had to old yeller his son after his son came back as a white.
He has
And
a with his own killer.
I know that's kind of fucked up. This is a person. Sorry for swearing. It's gonna mess up with the person, but it's like I want him to have a happy ending. I want him to get Brienne, even though that's a show thing, and she doesn't like him. But I don't care. They're gonna be a happy couple in my mind and my fan fiction. So.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't die. I hope they're gone. I hope they're all gone.
I think that there will be some whites left behind because I think that all the action has already happened. Like the poo has hit the fan. So I think by the time Tormund and crew gets there, it would be, I don't know, it might be a epilogue chapter. Who knows? Because I know Winds of Winter is the prologue is going to be Jane Westerling and her escort, if I believe. But it would be pretty interesting to see, even though we've kind of already done it with the prologue of Storm of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, something kind of creepy because I can see them going through like a little ghost town. And then just, yep. So
actually, do you think Tormund's still going to go to Hardhome after Jon dies? Because he hasn't left yet.
True, but I mean, Hardhome's still an issue, so I can still see.
Yeah, but everybody keeps saying don't go. Like everybody kept telling Jon, do not go. Like, do not mess with that. Like, just leave it be. Like, it's a lost cause. So I'm wondering, with his death, if Tormund's gonna be like, oh, we have to honor it, or be like, well, I really didn't want to go there anyway, so let's not.
Here's the thing. The alliance that the Men of the Night's Watch and the Wildlings had was basically contingent on Jon being in charge. With Jon gone, tensions are going to be so high because the Wildlings, they barely trust Jon, but he's the only one they trust. They don't fucking trust the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch just betrayed their fucking Lord Commander. Shit's gonna hit the fan. So I would imagine like wildlings probably aren't going to want to go anywhere at that point. And like once they go beyond the wall, unless they're taking ships, how do they know they're going to get back? You know,
True.
They're trying. Their whole thing was they were trying to get out of the wall. Yeah, some of them are probably not even trying to like catch themselves dead on the north side of the wall. So I think they would probably, as a unit, try to deal with whatever's going on at the wall first, because you know their survival might depend on it as far as they're concerned, because the Night's Watch is acting like they've lost their goddamn minds.
I mean, they killed 2 Lord Commanders in a row.
Yeah, still take the jet.
Yeah. No, if you fought that hard to get south, why go back?
Yeah.
Bernard says Tormund has a big dick. I don't know what that is in reference to, but thank you for the information.
Monster babies.
He's always saying he's got a big schlong.
And he like bangs giants and stuff, so.
And bears.
This is kind of neck and neck.
But it looks like Jon and Stannis, we're going to have to find out which one it is after the episode. But, so the way we're doing this is by region. So right now we're in the north. I'm going to let you guys pick what region we do next. But we got to get through the north first. So if we don't do Stannis this week, we're doing Stannis next week, or vice versa.
But that's 2 more in the north.
2 more in the north. And then we move on. I know y'all are dying for Dany and Cersei and Tyrion.
Okay, but what about the Greyjoy siblings?
I'm just gonna. Oh, they're in the north.
It's gonna be a hot minute.
Okay.
3 more.
Well,
we could do Theon and Asha together.
Yeah, they are physically together right now, so might as well.
Well, Asha could be in the Stannis episode because 90% of her Dance of Dragons chapters are in Stannis' camp. But I feel like Theon is pretty crucial to do his own episode because there's so much going on at Winterfell.
Down the line, we could do like a scraps episode, you know what I mean? Like of the smaller characters.
Once we get sick of a region, just move on and be like, we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Because I really want to be in Essos right now, guys. Really.
I want to be in King's Landing with Cersei. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know you do.
I was going to say, I've been dying to talk about Fagon because...
Jamie and Stoneheart. I can't wait.
Oh yeah.
We got so much to talk
Good.
about.
Subscribers will decide. People in the
But
chat
you
will
guys
decide
get
who
to
next.
pick, and right now you're picking between Stannis and Jon. But that's all for tonight. Like, that's Melisandre. We've been going for 2.5 hours. It doesn't feel like that, but that's what it has been. I want to shout out everybody in the chat. Weemology, Alan Thompson, Betha of House Blackwood, Harry Celine, Mage Mist, Wex is a secret targ, Adrian, Mother of Ferrets, Jess Brickbeck, Jonathan Hood, Phil H, Edric Storm, Ion Trone, Edward Martin, Aliens Live in Our Oceans. Aliens Live in Our Oceans.
For sure.
This is Hayden James, Lord Corliss, Whitefire, everybody in the chat. Like, thank you guys. Make these streams so much fun. Yeah, and we're gonna be out. You guys have a beautiful night and a lovely weekend. We will see you next Friday.
All right, I'll roll you guys out, and you can just hit it when you feel gray. Oh, law of conservation is a physics thing, by the way. That's why I didn't recognize it. Looked into it.
Just let me have this, John.
You'll figure it out.
Oh, Elsa.